Kamal sir, good morning. We'll wait for around 5 more minutes because there don't seem to be a lot of participants today. But yeah, let's wait for
Okay,
5 more minutes and then see.
no problem, no problem.
Okay, so the participants seem to be coming in, so I think we can start now. So, very good morning to all. My name is Architect Tushar Mandal, and I am a teaching faculty at the Periyar School of Architecture, New Delhi. I welcome you all to the 12th webinar in the Every Friday webinar series, a platform for young minds to express their ideas. Today's webinar will be discussing smart cities and active mobility and will be presented by architect Hamza Abdullah. So before introducing the speaker, I would like if Professor Kamal Raj, who is our HOD, can say a few words to motivate us.
Welcome everybody. So, the linkage of mobility to urban planning is, it's a changing dynamics. And we saw that, uh, dominance of car and urban sprawl because of that. But due to, that's not good for the environment. And, you have very large cities, people staying 50 kilometers away from their workplace. So that's not a very smart thing to do. But there has been no choice because earlier we would have the cities would be decided by walking area, or maybe you would have, let us say, uh, horses driven, or this type of a vehicle. So that restricted the size of the city. But with the car, that became a sprawl, and then everybody started having more and more cars, and it becomes a total urban nightmare. Now, with the advent of technology, there is a scope to, rethink the mobility and rethink the urban planning, because both are correlated, so there is a talk of 15-minute city. And few years back, I happened to visit Japan, and it was very amazing experience, because it's a very affluent population, and it has got an amazing network of metro and trains and mobility all over. And because of that, there were areas which were very, very dense, as dense as some of the areas in Delhi, but it had very few cars because of the accessibility to public transportation. Now, because of the technology, after the coming of Uber and this due to technology, so because of that, there is no need for many people to even own cars. So that if a mobility is organized properly and integrated with urban planning, it is the way of the future. So let us hear our young speaker, what about his experiences and his uh, thoughts.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now I will introduce today's speaker, architect Hamza Abdullah. Hamza is an architect with interest in the field of sustainable urban development, especially in the areas of low emission development and climate action. He works as an Indian Smart City Fellow at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Today, he will be talking about about Share the Road Chennai, an initiative aimed at co-creating walkable and cyclable cities through data and participation. So I would request Hamza to now begin his presentation. And for the participants, there will be a question answer and discussion session once the presentation is over. where you can unmute yourself and ask questions. So for the duration of the presentation, I would request the participants to keep themselves muted. Thank you. Hamza, you can now begin.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kamal sir and Tushar. Thank you for the introduction. I hope I'm audible to you, Tushar.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen and we'll start then.
You're muted, Hamza.
Is it visible to you?
Yeah, the screen is visible.
Okay. Um, one second.
Hamza, you seem to be muted.
Yeah, I'll just start.
Okay.
Apologies for this delay. I hope I'm visible and audible to you, Tushar.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. As Tushar told, I work as a fellow with the Smart Cities Mission, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And this presentation and the project that I'm trying to explain is part of my work over the last 2 years at the Smart Cities Mission. So, before we start this whole presentation and the idea, we'll begin with this simple question, which is how to create smart cities that make people the focal point of everything. So the reason I'm asking this question in the beginning is because if you look at the definition of a smart city anywhere in any literature, you will not find a unanimous definition or a single one. Uh, Mostly, people say that smart cities can mean different things to different people, but a wider consensus that you see in the literature is uh, that smart cities are the kind of uh, urban economic powerhouses that deploy latest technology, cutting edge solutions, Internet of Things, AI, machine learning, autonomous technology, and so on and so forth. So that's probably the most widely accepted notion of the smart cities. But over the last 2 years, my work with the smart cities mission and the ministry has informed me otherwise as well. So what I've learned over this period is that smart cities are not just technology. uh, in essence, smart cities are the cities that can work for the people, that can understand the aspirations of the people correctly, that can understand the needs of the people correctly. So if your city can do all of these things for you, it is a smart city. So the idea is that technology in smart cities context is not the end itself. Getting the technology, hyping up the city with latest tech is not the end itself, but it is a means to achieve the end. And the end is uh, probably prosperity or increased quality of life for the people. So that is something that uh, I try to focus on during my tenure, and this is something that will be the essence of this presentation uh, as well. So in my quest to look for cities that work for people, I chose the non-motorized transport sector to base my work on. uh, so, as many cities around the world, you all must be knowing, they have realized that designing cities for vehicle, for car, rather than mobility for the people. It undermines the quality of life and the character of the public spaces and and the city at large. So my work focuses on promotion of walking, cycling, active mobility, and it tries to present a narrative where uh, we are willing to promote these active modes of travel and also promote human activity, because when we talk about people, when we talk about human beings, then walking, cycling, and accessing your public space and city space is the most human thing to do, rather than uh, probably a planet killing, fuel consuming machine carrying you around here and there. So that's the idea. So I'll move to the next slide. So before we go to my work and the idea, we can have a very quick overview of non-motorized transport. So if anybody here is uninitiated, although I don't think so. So non-motorized transport or active mobility. One second, please. I think there's some snag with the screen.
No, I think the screen is now. So you were on the third slide, right?
I was on the third slide. Is it
Yeah,
is it
so
fine
now
now?
it's fine. Yeah,
Sure. Thank you. So non-motorized transport is basically uh, mobility that is powered by not powered by the fuels, the fossil fuels, but powered by uh, the human being, or the animal, in case of bullock cart, himself or herself. So if you are using your own energy to power your own movement, nothing can be more sustainable, and this is why you are indulging in active travel. That's why active mobility or non-motorized transport. So, if we look at the scenario of non-motorized transport in India, so we'll find that 40 to 60% of the total trips in India are made by walking and cycling, and this is a huge number. And this implies a very, uh, 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 I would say, very good and also sad argument that majority of people who commute in Indian cities or in India, a majority of them use walking or cycling as a preferred choice of commute. So, but usually what we see in our cities is that uh, a lot of cyclists and pedestrians, they are often um, invisible in the eyes of the policymakers and planners, and also probably in the eyes of the cars. Uh, so if we look at some examples of what is the mode share of walking and cycling, so you'll see on the screen Vishakhapatnam, it occupies more than half, 43% for Surat, 34 for Chennai, and so on. Uh, but one thing that is interesting to note here is that right now the modal share is 40 to 60%, but earlier it used to be even more, around 80%. So while we can explain a slight decline to our increasingly a fast lifestyle these days, we want car, we want uh, faster means of mobility, but a part is also because of a lot of issues that we have in the NMT sector. So, what are the challenges that we have in the non-motorized transport sector? So, if you look at this meme, or I would say graphic here, so we're just trying to imagine how would it would happen if we build road for cars the way we build tracks for cycles, and if we build tracks for cycles the way we build road for cars. So lack of safety is a major concern for indulging in non-motorized transport. Usually we can see a lot of infrastructure is in poor quality. Sometimes the cycle lane is not there, the pedestrian pathway is not there. Even if they're there, sometimes they're encroached or even disused or misused, or yeah, something else as well, probably waste disposal sites can also come on pedestrian pathways, on cycle tracks. So these are some issues. One of the most important issues that I also want to highlight is the gaps in data. So, like many other sectors, we don't have a lot of consistent data in terms of walking and cycling. So we don't know how many people in general, we don't know how many people cycle or walk, because we don't have a precise way of collecting that data. Although we know, from our studies, we know that the mode share is some percentage for every city, or for India as well. But uh, precise data, probably disaggregated data, high quality data, we don't have that. So if you don't have the data, you will not have the evidence to base your decision making on. So that's why policies are not very consistent, and there is also a weak implementation in policy. So when we talk about policymakers, if you look at this graphic, so probably children getting killed in traffic is a problem, but a lot of our policymakers are focusing on promoting helmet and highways. While these things are important, no doubt, but the real problem lies somewhere else. It is the inconsistent data, the poor infrastructure, the lack of safety, and the lack of probably political will. So all of these things come together to restrict active mobility in Indian cities. So these are some challenges. However, we also are witnessing a lot of great opportunities in the non-motorized transport sector. So, after the pandemic, cycle has emerged as a healthy choice of commute, and also a low emissions choice of commute. And there's a huge momentum. And a policy push from government itself. So the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is conducting walking and cycling challenges, national level challenges, where cities are all across India are participating. So this work of mine that I'm just coming to, it's also part of that policy push. So a lot of opportunities in walking and cycling sector. Uh, Coming to uh, my solution, my work that I have done. So what I have actually created Share the Road Chennai. So it is a digital initiative to promote walking and cycling in Chennai. And Share the Road Chennai, it's a post-COVID green recovery initiative. So uh, it is developed by me and my colleague, who is also on this call probably. So with Share the Road Chennai, we want to present non-motorized transport or active mobility. We want to take the spotlight on this mode of commute, and we want to promote it as a low emissions and sustainable commute option that can be combined with other modes of travel to cut carbon emissions, probably save money, and also promote healthy health and well-being. So uh, how we are doing this? We are doing this through leveraging data and citizen participation. So I'll go to my vision here. So our vision is to promote non-motorized transport in Chennai through data-driven decisions and citizen participation to create a healthy and vibrant city. So the this whole uh, product is deployed and piloted in Chennai city, because Chennai is one of the few Indian cities that have a lot of enthusiasm and momentum when it comes to cycling and walking. And there's a lot of institutional support as well. Chennai is only a few among Indian cities, and the first Indian city to have a full-fledged non-motorized transport policy. So this makes a lot of things easier, and my work is also aligned with the larger policy in the city. So the first keyword that I've highlighted here is data driven decision. So data driven decisions, is the end goal of this work and in the project. So the idea is that if you are taking decisions that are backed by data or feedback or evidence, then those decisions are more likely to succeed because there is some basis for those decisions. Usually what we see in our cities is that, as I also told earlier, what we see in our cities is that uh, a lot of cycle tracks you'll see in and around Delhi. Most of them, in Noida as well, a lot of them will be disused. Some of them will be misused as well. So why does this happen? There is a lot of there's a narrative that, okay, we are going to build this, we are going to build that infrastructure, and eventually a lot of it gets dismantled. So in the case of Bandra Kurla complex in Mumbai, or the BRTS system near Sheikh Sarai. So all of these decisions were made, and those were some financially heavy decisions. But then those decisions had to be reversed because they were not evidence based, or they were probably they were not data driven. So we want to have data driven decisions backed by evidence and context. And the other keyword is citizen participation. So how do we want to have that evidence or feedback or data? Do we want to deploy a lot of tech savvy sensors to collect that data and evidence? No, because Indian cities are not yet at the point where we have a lot of technology, and we simply don't have those systems and those institutions in place, but it's coming rapidly. But how we are going to get that data and evidence is through citizen participation. Because if we close the feedback loop, if we are promoting participation, then it's the best way for us to understand the needs and aspirations of of the citizen, of the people, and again in turn answer our question as to how to create cities that work for people. So this is how our vision is shaped. So we'll have a quick overview of the solution that we have created, and it is in the form of a citizen engagement application. And this is how it looks. So through this app, uh, users can involve in digital citizen participation exercises by telling the government authorities the concerns that they face every day while walking or cycling. It could be many concerns in walking or cycling, or some other concerns as well. And not only that, we are going one step forward and we are asking them to share their improvement idea for the same as well. Because what we understood is that there's a lot of citizen reporting mechanisms, grievance portals and all, but the citizens are not when they are doing some grievance or when they are complaining about something, it doesn't start on a good note. So the citizen is disgruntled when he is complaining about something, and the government authority is also fearful or negligent because the usual thought is that the people, everyone has something to complain about, and how many complaints will we receive? So nothing happens. So what we are doing here is we are pivoting this whole idea, or this whole product on the idea of co-creating the mobility spaces by sharing your ideas. So more than the concern is the ideas that matter in this project. Other than that, we also allow users to look at the images and other media material for the upcoming projects that involve improvement in street design, in the road design, or probably promotion of walking and cycling or any public space. So users can look at the project, look at it key features, merits, probably identify a few demerits, and on that basis the users can vote on any particular project. So apart from that, we are also sharing the data for some crucial and otherwise undocumented cycling amenities such as cycling repair facilities, cycling retail stations, cycling rental stations or parking spaces. So users can access this data through this app as well. And apart from that, we are also giving them some good crowdsourced, safe, convenient walking and cycling routes for the users to access. So this is the idea of the app that we have created. So certain data we are giving to the people as a service, and certain data we are taking from the people for better decision making. So what happens when this data comes to us? So we are aggregating all of this data that is coming from the app on a decision support dashboard that we have created. So this is a prototype, a reference mock-up image for that dashboard. Right now, the dashboard is complete, and it is soon to be integrated with the command and control center in Chennai for command and control center for Chennai government. So what we are doing is we are putting all the data that we are receiving from the app and visualizing it on that dashboard. And in the process, we are analyzing the trends and also forecasting the demand. We are also trying to benchmark certain NMT level of services in the city. We are doing all of this because, once the data starts coming in, it comes in a very tabular or cryptic format probably. So we have to make it fit for the decision makers to view and take and instantly understand. So that's why we need these dashboards, so that there's a way to land all the data in one place, and meaningful insights could be generated for the decision making. So I'll just take a few minutes to talk about our implementation strategy and where we are right now. So we started this project in the mid 2020, or after the first lockdown got over. So we started with a need assessment and a need assessment exercise. We talked to the people of Chennai, the cyclists, the pedestrians. We understood what they want. We gave them options. Certain things they said they don't want, certain things they said they want. So based on whatever the people said, we defined some use cases for our application. So once the use cases were defined and we understood that, okay, this is what we are trying to do, this is what we're going to do, we did the prototyping of the app and the dashboard. And once the use cases were developed, the prototype was also in shape. The next thing we needed was the data. Now here was the challenge, because as I told you earlier, data is very scarce in Indian cities. In smart cities or non-smart cities, we have this issue, persisting issue everywhere. So certain data that we could not get from anywhere, we decided that we'll again leverage the power of human action, and we crowdsource the data. So we will be talking about this in the later slide as well. We crowdsourced the data, and also we tested our use cases. So it's very important in this process. What I learned is it's very important not to absolutely trust on your idea and your decision making, because your individual decision making or thought process is not as powerful as the collective decision making or thought process. So it was always better to go back to the people and tell them, okay, this is what we are trying to do, these are the use cases that we are trying to test, and then we would test them with the people using freely available tools online that would replicate the work of that our app does right now. So once the use case were tested and data was crowdsourced, we jumped to product development and front-end development, back-end development, probably database management, and so on. After everything, all of these steps were made, we again rolled out the product, launched it in Chennai, and then tested it again, and ensured that everything is coming fine, and all the technology and everything is in place. So right now we are at this point, we are in the process of generating data driven insights from the data evidence feedback and so on, whatever we have collected till now. And the next step is obviously the long term vision, which is better development outcomes for everyone. So this is some highlights of the crowd mapping campaigns that we initiated over months in Chennai. And this was only possible, this whole project was only possible because of the enthusiasm of the volunteers, the cyclists, runners, pedestrians of Chennai. Because they didn't help us for probably any material gain, but it was the collective aspiration to see some change in terms of cycling and walking that led all of us to join hands and work on these campaigns. So we crowd map cycling amenities all across the city, and the data is very granular. So all across Chennai we have more than 300 cycling amenities tagged by people. We have also asked people what are the good routes, and these people are, by the way, avid cyclists who cycle regularly in the city. So they gave us a lot of good routes for walking and cycling, and we used all of this data to deliver these points and these routes as services to the citizens. So the three reasons why we did these crowd mapping campaigns is because when we are doing a citizen application, we also need to have a constant dialogue with the citizens. Second reason was to obviously aggregate the data, and third reason was to test the use cases of the app and show it as a proof of concept. So I'll just end this presentation by this quote that our cities don't need driverless cars; they desperately need more carless drivers. So this is my email ID on the screen, and I would be very happy to connect with anyone who wants to have a further conversation on this. Probably have some conversation around understanding the use cases in more detail and the plans ahead as well. So this will be followed by a very quick live demonstration of the app. So I would just take 1 minute to set that up. Tushar, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
My mobile screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So I'll just quickly take you through this app. So this app is actually not a standalone app, but it is embedded uh, within the city app of the Municipal Corporation of Chennai, because we didn't want multiple apps. So we thought, okay, it's good if we integrate it within the larger ecosystem. So this is what our front page looks like, and we have four options: share ideas, share feedback, find amenities, and explore routes. So if you look at share ideas, so you will have uh, an option to geotag any location. You can tag any location at all where you are sitting. Probably you can uh, tag that location as well, and you can select your location, tell if it's a street or a junction or a public space. You will also tell who are you, if you're a pedestrian or a cyclist or a motorist, and then you have to select your gender. Once you do that, we'll be asking for, what is the kind of concern that you have for this location or this area or this point. So you can select from an array of options. So there would be some problems with the footpath. uh, it is present but not continuous, it's not wide enough, it could be broken, encroached. Similarly, same things for cycle lane. And then there are some other concerns as well. Concerns related to congestion, accessibility issues, high speeding vehicles, safety concern, street light issue, parking violation, or a pothole. So these are the concerns that the user can share with the local authority. And once you share the concern, we are asking you to rate your walking and cycling experience in this location. So let's say if I rate something like this, uh, then the app will tell that, okay, people, based on the cumulative feedback, people in Okla area have average walking and cycling experiences, and area score is, something more of an average. So this is a way of us of telling you, that your area, people think that it is performing good, and certain areas are performing average, or certain areas are performing poor. And this is also, people's way of telling the authorities that, okay, you have to do certain infrastructural changes in certain neighborhoods. So after that, we are also asking what could be improved. So you have told us what is the problem and all of that. Now tell us what could be improved. So I just say that I need more then I can tag it as cycling, and I can just submit my idea. So this is I think my screen has frozen. One second, please. Uh, I think there's some internet issue. I'm so sorry. I'll just take one more minute. Please bear with me.
Hamza, maybe if you just switch off your camera, so that sometimes helps with if there's an internet issue. So that sometimes smooths out
Right.
the screen
Probably,
share.
yes. That will be the
Yeah.
sure, sure. I'll just share it again.
Yeah.
I hope it's visible now. I'm so sorry for the delay.
Yeah, the screen is visible.
Sure. So I'll just quickly complete finish this demo. So the second feature, it's called share feedback, and here you can simply uh, look at the upcoming or ongoing projects related to walking, cycling, and street design. You can uh, look at what the project has to offer to you through some pictures, and then you can also look at the key features on the project, and based on that you can vote if that's you like it or not, and then we are asking you for some details, and if you have some suggestion you can do that as well, and you can submit your feedback. Now find amenities is the third feature. Here we are giving cycle repair, rental, retail, and parking information for the people of Chennai to access. So I'll just quickly take you through this. Right now in time, so we don't have data here, but if you look at if we look at data for Chennai, we'll find a lot of good data. I'll see if I can navigate you to this. I think there's some issue with the internet, so it's difficult to go to Chennai city right now on maps. So, but I'll be happy to discuss this further if anyone wants to. Uh, through this you can also map a cycling amenity. So if there's something that you want to put on this application, you just have to tag it, tell us what is the facility type, name, contact number, some additional information, and a picture. So asking for picture is a way to probably cross check that okay, this is some serious effort that goes into tagging these amenities. So the fourth thing is having some good walking and cycling routes. So we can select the route type uh, and search. We can do all kinds of filter, category type, uh, distance type. So based on these, people can access route. We'll tell you what the route is with a screenshot. We'll tell you how its length, duration. We'll also tell you what kind of category it is in, if it's blue green or along a market or safe traffic flow, and so on. Some navigation tips, name of the contributor, and some comment or image. So if you click on this thing, it will take you to cycle map. It will show you a route that you can follow if you want to cycle or walk on a particular route. So I will stop my presentation now. This was my work with Share the Road Chennai, and I hope I was clear in the presentation. I am from your side.
Okay, so thank you, Hamza, for the talk, and it was engaging and quite informative. Participants can now ask questions. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask. But before we take any questions, I would request if Kamal sir has some comments or views about the presentation, or if he wants to give in his own feedback on the whole subject. Kamal sir.
Yeah, excellent presentation. I could not see the last part on the screen, some part, but otherwise, I have understood what you're trying to communicate. The problem is that feedback is a good thing. It helps us to focus the what type of a solution we have to provide as per the aspirations of people, but we fail in the implementation. We have a very poor implementation, poorly made stuff. So even if you get a sophisticated data and you get everything, but the result is very poor. So there must be some mechanism in which you ensure that your app delivers the final product also, rating of the final product. So if there is a demand for a, let us say, pedestrian walkway, and you deliver that, but it's done in a very crude manner, so it's not a desired product. So sometimes the citizens may not know it, because they may not have that kind of expectations. Somewhere the professionals have to be involved to deliver the solutions. Something, we cannot rely totally on the public feedback, because they may not have the exposure about what is a good walkable area and what are the latest trends. So I think in our country, implementation is a very big problem, and that should be addressed.
Right. Thank you for your comment, sir. That is certainly insightful. So, what we are trying to do here is, obviously, implementation is the thing that we all would want in the end. Our work is focused a lot in the preliminary understanding and evidence, and based on that, it is also our aspiration that once the data starts coming in through the app, the government of Chennai is very enthusiastic to push for actual infrastructure development. We have the Chennai Mega Streets project, that is an upcoming project in the city, and we are trying to integrate this app with that project as well, so that once the people start giving us evidence, we can use that evidence to reinforce and boost the infrastructure, the development of actual infrastructure for the people in Chennai. So, yeah, thank you.
All that is fine. So unless you are the professional over here, so you must tell the Chennai authorities that, look, this is incomplete solution. Only getting a data and data driven solution or a paper solution is not enough. It must take care of final implementation, because final implementation is very crude all over our country.
Absolutely, sir.
So there's
Absolutely, sir. That
not
is
having
right.
information and then making something crude. Then every 2 years you remake it, break it. This is not, I mean, there has to be an integrated approach towards it, and it's your duty to inform the authorities.
That's exactly.
Incomplete.
Yes, sir. You're not. I could not hear what sir said in the last, because probably of the
So I think
connection.
your voice broke at the very end.
So it is your duty to inform the concerned authorities that implementation is a equally important aspect of this, and the whatever app you are doing has to take it to the implementation also.
Absolutely, sir. That is the idea, sir. That is the idea, to inform the policy as inform the planning, design, and implementation. That is the idea that we are
Yeah,
working on that front.
you should emphasize more about the implementation.
Right, sir. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So we do have one question from architect Humair. He asks, how do we come to parity between street vendors, cycle tracks, and motorized transport? So what shall be the hierarchy of different stakeholders across the street or road?
Right. Yeah. So, actually, that is also a question that we are trying to ask and demystify. So we are not advocating for removal of cars or removal of one mode of transport, but we just want the road to be shared for everyone. So we want, in an ideal scenario, we want the vendors, the bullock carts, the cyclists, the pedestrians, and also the motorized users of bikes and cars, everyone to be accommodating. But the thing is, where what mode of transport gets what proportion in what context. So that is the planning and the designing part of it. So we are trying to inform these aspects of the planning and design through the app itself. But I mean, there's no one way of calculating that parity, I feel, because of the context differences and all. But certainly, one thing is clear and non-negotiable, that there has to be a parity. And how that parity will have, of course, as sir said, this is what architects or planners will do in the end. But what we are trying to tell them, that see, you have to have at least disparity, and this is exactly what I think our app is going to do in the times to come.
Okay, thank you. So if is there anybody else who wants to ask a question? You could just unmute yourself and ask if you want. If not, then I do have a question for you, Hamza. So
Sure.
this app was so the this project, I assume, is a pilot project that has been initiated from Chennai, right? But
Right.
so there are two parts to my question. The first part is that what have so is the project, so I'm assuming that the project has already been greenlit and it has started, right? So what
Yes,
has
yes.
been the like the both the government side contribution and the citizens side
Right.
contribution once the app has been live? Like not in the making of the project itself, but once the app has gone live.
Right. So the app has gone live less than a month ago. So what is happening is, since then, what the citizens are doing is they are actively participating through submitting their feedback and ideas and concerns. So so far, what we were doing till now, like just a few days back, was that we were testing the app, and we had a test audience of 300 people. So we got a lot of positive response, and especially from the runners and the cyclists community in Chennai. What the government is doing is that we have made a report of all the data and the feedback and the innovative ideas that we would have received. Many of them were just aspirations, that okay, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want some cycle track here. Very simple things, no rocket science, but still it's good to see what people want. And then we showed that to my colleague who is right now stationed in Chennai. She showed that to the deputy commissioner and commissioner of Chennai government, and they were satisfied, and they were happy to know that okay, there's a way for them to understand what people want. And right now we are trying to expand this whole infrastructure, and we are trying to have the dashboard fixed on the command and control center. So right now the government is just closing the loose ends of this project. And once this thing happens, our focus would be to push the government for to start with some very basic changes, like at least clearing the potholes and all of that. So this is the next step, to push the government to do the actual infrastructural changes based on the evidence.
Okay, so the follow-up, so the second part of the question that I had was, so this is including the citizens, right? But then where do you, or do you plan, or where do you plan to bring in the professionals into this whole project, or into the fold, basically? So do
Yeah,
you plan
I'll
to involve the professionals into getting
yes,
these problems solved and implemented? Because the government is the one
absolutely.
that will get it done, true, but then the government also needs these professionals to work, right?
Right.
So where do you
I'll
plan to get them involved?
Sure. That's a very great question, actually. So I'll tell you the sequence in which this is happening. So the first feature of the app is called Share Ideas. So where we're asking for all the good ideas, right? Now what we are going to do is Chennai. The reason why we chose Chennai is because there are thousands of crores of investment that is being made to develop streets and walking and cycling. So right now, I'll take the example of one project called Chennai Mega Streets Project. It is a huge project done by six architecture and planning firms, including HCP and a lot of other firms as well. So what we are doing is we are collecting all this aspirations data, all this evidence, and then we are compiling it, and then we'll be sharing it with the design and planning consultants. So we are already in touch with them, and they are included in the major steps while developing this app. So we'll be reporting that data to the corporation of Chennai, and they will be sharing it with the consultants, and based on this value additions, the consultants will finalize their design. Once their design is finalized, we are again putting that design onto our app, and then we are asking people, okay, this is what they have prepared, now you tell if you like it or not. So the feedback, if you see, the feedback loop is closed. People tell us what do they want, we get it done, then the people tell us, okay, if they like it or not. So this is the loop that we are trying to create here.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for the answers. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question? I can take one last question before we close the webinar. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any other questions. So with this, I'd like to end today's webinar. I thank Hamza for the wonderful presentation and for this whole initiative. And I also thank Kamal sir for his wise words and for giving us and for explaining to us like the faults and the shortcomings of what these sort of projects sometimes end up being, which I'm sure Hamza and his team is also working to not to overcome. So I thank all the participants as well, and please have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.